Hey, how are ya? It's Fossil Daddy, and if you're new here, hi, I'm gay. This is also not my bedroom, this is Horace Collars, and he definitely puts the whore back into Horace. He is also not with me today. Anyway, as I've started my YouTube journey, I have reviewed a lot of cartoons, I guess, that are more right-leaning than they are left. And as a result, YouTube has now been recommending me anti-woke channels, which, ew. And one of these channels, unfortunately, is Matt Walsh. You know, the guy that made a 100-minute documentary, if you can even call it that, to pose the question, is he racist? Which could have been answered in 3 seconds just by telling him yes.
Well, yes!
Now, I bring him up because I was recently recommended his Sonic 3 review, and, morbid curiosity got the best of me, and I clicked on it, and oh my god. You know, for a guy that is constantly preaching fatherhood, he does act rather fatherless. Bro really gives off daddy please vibes, if you know what I mean.
20 million is still 12 million after taxes, Daddy.
I want a llama, Daddy, please,
Daddy.
Daddy, take a movie,
Daddy.
Daddy.
When a man becomes a father, he's called upon to make sacrifices for his family.
Okay, can you spare your children the indignity of being their father?
And on even rarer occasion, the duties of fatherhood will require him to make the kind of sacrifice that, up to that moment, he would have thought himself incapable of making. These are the moments when a man must become a hero, when he must lay his very life on the line.
Are you serious? We're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 3, right? Like, what?
Dear dumb ass, every thought in your mind is dumb. Every word you speak is dumb.
He may be compelled by his paternal obligations to go to a movie theater and watch Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Don't make it sound like too much of a chore. There are worse things out there. For instance, you could make your kids watch one of your dumbass movies.
That's no good.
Now, for the record, I'll say I greatly enjoyed most of the time that I spent with my wife and kids these past 2 weeks. We had a lot of fun together. We played football, we played outside, we shot BB guns, we played card games and board games. I completely wrecked my whole family in Monopoly 2 nights in a row.
Congratulations, Matt. I'm very happy for you. You did the bare minimum. Okay, side note and serious question. How do people seriously sit through his videos? Because he takes so long to get to the point. I cannot handle this. This is torture.
A nightmare. Literally a nightmare.
We took the kids ice skating. I was ice skating. My wife and kids were left dumbstruck by my gracefulness and elegance on the ice. They didn't say that, but I know they were thinking it.
Clap if you care. Clap if you care.
I must first acknowledge, in all fairness, I never saw Sonic the Hedgehog 1 or Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It's possible that one cannot fully appreciate the narrative complexities of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 without having seen the first 2 chapters in this epic Hedgehog saga.
I beg your pardon. I thought you knew what you were talking about.
Sorry, this guy literally goes on for 5 more minutes like this, but I just have to say, Matt and I are roughly the same age, and this guy talks like he never picked up a Sega Genesis. And honestly, I would probably believe that, but you know, like, this is just a freaking movie based off of a video game Hedgehog. It is not that serious. I think the sad thing here, too, is that his children sounded like that they actually enjoyed the film. But because little Matt here didn't really have a nice childhood, he can't let his children have that. But I'm also not surprised because this is the same dude who advocates for the impregnation of girls as young as 16 years old. So I don't really think he cares about children living normal childhoods as much as he claims.
Ever since the beginning of time, teenage girls have been getting pregnant. It used to be more common. The peak, ever since they started keeping records of these things, which they only started doing recently, like in the 20th century, but ever since they started keeping records, in 1957 was the peak for teenage pregnancy. 1957. Not 2009,
well, back
not
then,
today.
All of them were supposed to have kids. Like, that's when you had kids.
That's my point, okay? So to all of a sudden act like this phenomenon of girls getting pregnant at a young age that we consider young, 16 or 17, to act like it's a new thing is ridiculous. It's always been that way.
Okay, Scott.
I would also like to point out that Matt Walsh is the father of 2 very young children, one of which is a very young girl. That poor thing.
I am disgusted.
Kim Kardashian.
I mean, this is the kind of movie where Jim Carrey plays 2 characters. One is the evil villain, and the other is the evil villain's evil grandfather in old age makeup. And the 2 break into an impromptu dance routine that makes no narrative sense but lasts approximately 87 minutes.
You've got the brain of a 4-year-old, and I'll bet he misses it. Hey, thank you, I think.
Okay, for context, Matt Walsh is talking about Jim Carrey, who plays Dr. Eggman, aka Dr. Robotnik. And I know it really doesn't matter, but because I am an elder millennial, Dr. Eggman is always going to be Dr. Robotnik to me. You can fight me about it if you want. Secondly, Matthew. Do not come for Jim Carrey that way. That was my very first basic white boy celebrity crush, okay? Thirdly, Matthew, are you okay? Because do you not know what a character actor is? One actor portraying multiple characters is nothing new. It's done in cartoons all the time. It's done in theater all the time. As far back as theater has been a thing, that has always been a thing. Girl, I knew you were uncultured, but this is ridiculous. What a green hill zone to die on.
Get it?
I'm not going to bother explaining the plot of this film in any detail. I wasn't tracking it that closely, to be honest. I was mostly fighting to stay awake. This is the kind of movie that bores you to the point of putting you to sleep, but also annoys you at the same time.
Oh, okay, so it's like watching one of your videos. Also, what is the point of making a whole ass review about a movie if you're not actually paying attention to it? If you didn't pay attention to it, there's no need to make a review because you have no idea what the hell is going on. But because you're a conservative grifter, you make money off of telling your audience what to be angry about. But you don't really have a real reason to be angry about this movie, and you're doing a pretty piss-poor job of explaining why I should hate this movie. Ironically, the only thing you're making me feel right now is pure boredom and maybe a little bit of pity for your family. This guy must be really fun at parties, okay? I can't even imagine what it's like to live with him.
What color is my heart?
I don't see out, sir.
Exactly.
As for the plot, I can only tell you that Sonic is the good hedgehog, which you may know. There's also an evil hedgehog voiced by Keanu Reeves, who, and I like Keanu Reeves, by the way, but like every other voice actor in this film and most voice actors in most children's films that have been made for the past 20 years, he has no talent as a voice actor and doesn't understand how to act with just your voice.
Okay, I'll actually give him a little bit of credit here because I actually do agree with his last point. Not about Keanu Reeves, because Keanu Reeves is excellent in everything he does, but I do absolutely agree that animation studios do need to start hiring actual voice actors again. I mean, nobody knew who Jodie Benson was before she did the voice of Ariel in The Little Mermaid. But here's where I know Matt Walsh absolutely was not paying attention to the movie, because Shadow is not an evil hedgehog, he is a complex hedgehog. But being a conservative grifter, the concept of good and evil is a very binary thing for Mr. Matt Walsh. I'm really trying to be empathetic here and I want to meet him halfway, but he's making it very difficult. So let's just see what he has to say next.
So Sonic has to stop the evil hedgehog and his evil cohorts, that's the Jim Carrey dancing duo I mentioned earlier, from blowing up the world with a big laser. And this has been the evil plan of every evil villain in every blockbuster franchise film for the past 3 decades. It's a formula that this movie is not interested in deviating from. This is not the sort of movie that deviates from formulas.
Sure, Jan.
Okay, no. No. That is not at all what happened, so clearly you definitely were not paying attention. Dr. Robotnik does not want to destroy the world, he wants to take over the world. Kind of like President Elon Musk. But also, if you were paying attention in the movie, actually, Dr. Robotnik's grandfather betrays his grandson's trust. I really don't want to go into spoiler territory, but more or less that's kind of what happens.
Why the evil hedgehog and the two Jim Carreys want to explode the world and murder 8 billion people in a cosmic blast that they will also die in, it's because the older Jim Carrey's granddaughter, I think, was killed, and now he wants to commit murder because life isn't worth living.
Okay, so this is basically the backstory of every school shooter that Matt Walsh has ever defended, just FYI. I don't know why it shocks him so much. And I also don't understand why he's so shocked that, like, a bad guy might have some minor redemption arcs. Like, redemption arcs are not a new thing. I must reiterate, Dr. Robotnik did not want to destroy the world, he wanted to take over the world. And then he changed his mind. Kind of like how I wasn't gonna go to the gym this morning, but then last minute I decided that I might as well do it. In fact, because he can no longer take over the world, he decides to team up with the heroes and help save the world. Now this is something that actually happens in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, and I really do appreciate the writer's respect for the source material. Now, also like in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, Shadow also decides not to go through with his plan to destroy the world, as he's driven mostly by revenge for the loss of Mattricia Robotnik, which is also another nod to the actual source material that I greatly appreciated. Now, Mattricia had a terminal illness, and it was actually Robotnik's grandfather, Gerald, who brought her on the space colony Ark to keep her condition in remission, while he worked on Project Shadow. Thus, Shadow was created. And then he and Mattricia became really good pals. And then later, when the organization GUN shut down the Ark, Mattricia was killed by a GUN soldier while trying to assist Shadow in escaping the colony. So yeah, I could see why he would want to burn everything down. I do want to say what I just said comes from the game's lore, and while this remains largely the same in the movie, it does deviate slightly, and that is really the best way that I can give you context without totally spoiling it, if that makes sense. Come on, Mattricia Walsh, like, you get with the program. I know you lack human empathy because you're like a reptile person, but just because you don't understand the story doesn't mean that there isn't one. Okay, so let me get down to your level for just a second. Like, can you at least appreciate how sad it is that Mattricia didn't live to be a fertile age? Because I know that is something you definitely care about. And as for why characters do things, they feel like they have nothing left to live for. So naturally, they're gonna burn the world down as well as themselves to get back at the people that killed their loved one. I don't know why I'm trying to get you to empathize, because I know you only speak in toxic masculinity, but hey, at least I can say I tried. Like, you're basically Ned Flanders without any of the redeeming qualities.
Purple drapes! All my life I've wanted purple drapes!
Hi, this is Charles, the editor of this video. Fossil Daddy gave me the liberty to cut in and promote my upcoming animated pilot, The Incredible Adventures of Detective Cat. It's a 2D animated series about an eccentric freelance sleuth who loses his magnifying glass. With the help of his loyal companion, Ashley Pooch, he conquers his fears and faces off the voluptuously wicked Foxy Fatale, voiced by Elsie Lovelock. If you're a fan of 90s Saturday morning cartoons such as Darkwing Duck, Animaniacs, Batman, and Freakazoid, this may be right up your alley. And if you love indie animation and wish to support this show, head on over to my Ko-fi page and donate. Is it Ko-fi? Coffee? This will help me pay for my crew and possibly get this done by Christmas, so head on over there.
Just do as I tell you, Twink.
And now, back to the show.
Like, that's real. That's in the movie. He actually declares his intention as well. Now, if that seems like weirdly bleak and dark for a kids movie where the characters bust out impromptu dance routines and randomly break the fourth wall and constantly speak in internet lingo from 2019, there's a lot of that, by the way. Just as one example, at one point, Jim Carrey says, "Damn you, autocorrect."
No, actually, dude, I said that this morning because honestly, autocorrect.
This is a movie, like so many kids' movies these days, that schizophrenically darts back and forth from being ironic to painfully self-serious to goofy to earnest, and so on and so on. It doesn't try to smooth over these tonal transitions with good writing or performances. The writing is just terrible, and the performances are atrocious across the board.
Stop! My God!
I find it really sad and kind of pathetic that I wasted 15 of my precious minutes to listen to Matt Walsh tell me movie bad without giving me any clear examples as to why the movie is bad. If you can give me an example as to where the writing could be improved upon, let me know, like an actual reviewer would. You think a performance is bad? Okay, tell me which one and why. It can't be any worse than watching you pretend that you actually sat down and watched Sonic 3 for 110 minutes. By the way, that is 10 minutes longer than your documentary, and it is infinitely more entertaining. Is this really the level that you stoop to when you have nothing anti-woke to about?
Instead, it just flings it all against the wall haphazardly, because these are all bullet points that the movie studio knows it has to hit. Because this movie, again, like so many kids' movies these days, is not the fulfillment of anyone's creative vision. It is just the product of a corporate algorithm.
You need to shut the up!
As if you're not doing the same thing every time you preach about the Hollywood elites taking over America with your frickin' followers. Irony, do you know her, Matt? I'm sure you know her very well. So let's talk about some of your fear-mongering bullet points that you use pretty frequently. If you're not making your audience afraid of black people, you're making them afraid of the horrible gays. If it's not the horrible gays, it's the transgendered people. If it's not the trans people, it's the non-binaries. If it's the non-binaries, it's the furries. And if it's not the furries, it's the furries who also happen to be a part of the demographic of all things I just mentioned before. Oh, and then immigrants. How did I forget immigrants? Honestly, I don't know why you came for Sonic other than the fact that you're a cuck.
It is loud and ugly and obnoxious and disjointed because nobody who made the film actually cared about making a good film. And they have absolutely no respect for their audience. I mean, this movie could have been made by AI. We are at a point. If they start making movies with AI, we would not know the difference because they've effectively been doing that for 20 years now.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
If you want to actually put some care into something, let's talk about this review, because clearly you put no effort or care into it. Otherwise, you would have something more interesting to say. Instead, you have absolutely nothing to add to the conversation other than movie bad, me not likey. And if I take it a step further, like, if we want to talk respect, clearly you do not respect your audience, otherwise you would never have made this review. Like, girl, what are you doing? Stop it. Get some help. Oh yeah, and if you can't tell the difference between AI writing and human writing, I got some news for you, dude. You might be an idiot. Honestly, there's really nothing much else to this review. It is such a nothing burger of a review, and trust me, I know a lot about those because I used to be a fan of the Nostalgia Critic. So not only was it clear to me that he didn't really watch the movie, maybe he fell asleep during it like he said he did, but I think he just genuinely didn't see the movie. I think he got a synopsis off of maybe a website or something, and just kinda ran with it because he was really running low on content ideas. And it's really not working out for him because people are tearing him apart from all corners of the internet. I mean, just because you're conservative doesn't mean that you have to live a boring life. I mean, he really does strike me as the kind of guy that never picked up a Sega Genesis back in the 90s when he was a kid. No, he was probably a frickin' dork reading books and whatever. I mean, so was I. I was also reading books, and that is how I became a paleontologist, but you know what? I still also had fun with my Sega Genesis, playing Sonic the Hedgehog, and also watching Sonic Sat AM on ABC every Saturday morning. Anyway, I guess that's kind of it, and I know I was really mean in this video, which is not typical of me. However, Matt Walsh just brings it out of me. I mean, this is a guy who has caused so much harm to so many communities that I happen to be a part of, and you know what? Nails had to come out, especially for Jim Carrey and Keanu Reeves. But hey, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up because that definitely helps with the algorithm, and if you agree with me, leave a comment. If you disagree with me, also drop a comment, please and thank you. I'm also going to have my Ko-Fi page listed down below if you would like to support my content.
Just do as I tell you, Twink. Okay.
That's where you'll get a lot of exclusive videos and behind the scenes stuff, a lot of my drawings that I don't post publicly online because of AI scraping, and also the occasional fossil that I find because, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a paleontologist. I know that's hard to believe, but my name is Fossil Daddy for a reason. Anyway, I hope to see you next time. Ciao! Ooh, ciao karate.